Are you ready to get into the meat of this episode, the main course, the main focus, our pound for pound 15 list? Go back and forth,
Yeah,
talk about who we
yeah,
put
man.
where. Sounds
Yeah,
great,
man. No
man. I'm gonna
doubt.
pass it right to you. You want to give me your number 15, man? Let's start off with the bottom of the list.
All right, listen, y'all. While this is very controversial, all right, but at the end of the day,
Haven't even
I
gotten
don't
to the first
care.
person yet, bro.
I'm,
Bro's already
I'm.
saying it's controversial.
It's crazy controversial, but at the end of the day, these are personal
Yeah,
pound for pound lists. I got Sean Brady at number 15, man. So for me, reason why I put Sean Brady at number 15, and we were speaking about this not too long ago, but the way that I essentially went about this list was I went through essentially fighters that I felt was good all around. They were well-rounded fighters in the striking and the grappling. They can wrestle, handle themselves on the ground. Essentially, they have pretty dominant performances, but they're also pretty well-rounded fighters. So with Sean Brady, he's 18-1, dude. I mean, his only really loss was to Bilal, and even though Bilal did technically TKO him at the end
technically.
of the day, technically he did TKO him. But I really think ever since that loss, he's really worked on his game and deserves to be on this pound for pound list, specifically of how he came up. Honestly, pretty quickly, in my opinion. You know, he lost to Bilal in that Islam Charles card. And I feel like he learned so much from that experience, man. I mean, he looks so good against Leon, so
He
good.
did. He
And
absolutely dominated Leon, man. That was insane.
crazy. And it's like watching something like that is completely unexpected because not a lot of people would pay attention to up and coming fighters like that would take losses from current or former champions, right? We kind of just don't really see those fighters after stuff like that happens. But now, you know, you see Sean Brady, he made his way up and now he's pretty much up there in title contention almost. So he's been killing it. I got him at number 15 for
That
me.
is that's pretty valid, man. I will say for my own list, don't have Sean Brady on there. I think that is a very valid person to toss on. If you're gonna toss on anybody in the top welterweight, there is like a handful of different fighters you can throw on there. I don't think it's necessarily controversial. I think your list might get into the controversial territory, but I think Sean Brady 15 is a pretty solid spot. Now, for my number 15 on my list, arguably might be a little bit more controversial than yours because of just the fan base around him in general. But after the last couple of performances and considering what wins he does have in his last, let me think. I think two and three in his last five, and both wins are against Michael Chandler. We're tossing Charles Oliveira at the bottom of my 11 to 15. Now, hear me out. So, pound for pound lists, they are very opinionated. There isn't no. God, my grammar is incredible right now. There isn't a set way to actually rank this because it is pretty much just based on, it's a popularity contest. There, a lot of people in this list aren't going to fight each other. The super heavy guys, Pereira's not going to fight Volk, stuff like that. Pretty much the way I ranked mine isn't necessarily off of like finishes or anything, but it's mostly like accolades, merit, win streak, and stuff. And Charles Oliveira is one of the greatest active fighters we have right now, one of the best grapplers in the UFC, period. But I can't argue for him to be near the top, unfortunately. I definitely think he's in the top 15, but I don't know. A loss to Ilia, Islam, and now or no, Ilia was the most recent one. I'm sorry. Ilia, Islam, and Arman were all a little bit better, a little bit higher ranked in the lightweight division. I can't justify putting him higher. He has a lot of great moments, a lot of great finishes over currently active fighters. He had a pretty decent title reign, aside from the whole weight miss, fiasco against Justin Gaethje. But the champion had a name, man, and it was Charles Oliveira. It's just that last knockout was brutal, dog. And I think it definitely bumped him down a few points in my list.
Very valid, man. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a legend. He'll always be a legend, 100% a Hall of Famer. But I think that's pretty valid, man, to put him down there, especially, the kind of fighters that we have in the UFC. It's really difficult to kind of weigh like most of these fighters in the top 15 pound for pound. So, but what I got going on for me for the 14th.
Oh, boy.
All right, y'all, listen. Listen, bro. Hear me out.
I'm
Even
here.
if you don't agree with me, I'm riding this one to the grave.
Oh, God.
I think, and the reason why I have Mauricio Rufy, all right, fighting nerd on here specifically is because out of the nerds, I am a little biased on this one. I love the way this man fights.
Yeah,
Love the way this man
can't
fights.
blame you,
He
bro.
is not, to be quite honest. I mean, watching, and he's pretty much only fought on prelims. He hasn't necessarily had an opportunity to fight on main cards. I'm pretty sure. Um, but based off of what we've seen, or actually no, he fought Bobby Green on the main card, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Or was
that
that a
was his
prelim?
most recent. It was his knockout, spinning head
Okay,
kick.
okay. I just want to make sure. So yeah, that, to be quite honest, I mean, after seeing that, that pretty much just solidified at least a spot for me on this top 15, specifically because of the way that I love. He fights very well. He's had a couple pretty spectacular finishes, especially with Bobby Green and a spinning head kick. Spinning head kicks. I'm an Edson Barbosa fan, so watching Edson Barbosa, especially when he was up and coming in the UFC, loved the way he fought. To me, I feel like Rufy is essentially almost a mirror to that, except he doesn't really get hit as much. Edson Barbosa would essentially come out every fight bloodied. But
Sorry, your mic cut out a little bit right there. What was that point you made with the Edson Barboza comparison?
oh yeah, I was essentially saying that Edson Barbosa and Rufy have this sort of like mimicking style to them, but I feel like Rufy is a little bit more defined in the way he fights. I feel like
That's
with
valid.
Edson Barbosa, yeah, Edson Barbosa, he gets touched a lot. I feel like every fight, he comes out bloodied or something, bro.
Pause.
Like he looks insane. Pause. Crazy.
No, I get what you
But yeah,
mean,
no,
though. I get what you mean.
yeah. Aside from that, I have him on my list specifically because he's a very well-rounded fighter. I have seen him in the prelims fights that he's fought. He's essentially handled himself very well in every aspect of the game. He can strike 1000%. He can strike, but he can also handle himself on the ground. And we've seen that he's been actually drugging the deep waters a couple of times. Watching prelims, and he's able to get himself. He's not bad at jujitsu. Like at the end of the day, the man's Brazilian. He's not bad at jujitsu, so like he's pretty good on the ground. But for me, this is pretty much a bias pick. I had a lot of fun putting him here because I think that he can definitely get up there in the pound for pound list. There's been some news about him avenging Charles Oliveira,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
maybe,
been some
maybe,
news,
bro.
man. You never know, but we'll see. I'll be looking forward to that when it happens. But that's my 14th.
That's definitely a solid inclusion. I don't know about putting him in my top 15 pound for pound, but I definitely agree with you on the point that he could get to there at one point. He definitely has the skill set. He's very well rounded. He's in a great gym. There's definitely a road to be had there. I just think he's a couple fights out from that for myself. As for my number 14th spot, it's honestly a pretty similar reasoning to Oliveira, and this is gonna be another one that might be a little controversial to be putting so low because he's so loved, but I'm going with Max Holloway as my number 14th. Listen, man, he is incredible. He's one of the best boxers, not only in the UFC currently, but in the UFC's history ever, right? Absolutely fantastic performances, literally dodging punches he's not even looking at. But compared to other active fighters we have right now, Ilia and Volk, who are going to be on this list, he's 0-3 against Volk. He got knocked out by Ilia. 0-2 against Dustin, who is not on my list, might be on yours, but you know what I mean. He is fantastic, but it's more so of a contest of not a contest, a comparison to other incredible achievements, which are it's not that he's bad or anything. It's not that he should be lower on the list, but it's really, really tough competition, man. Incredible TKO against Calvin Kattar. His KO against Justin Gaethje, of course, UFC 300. He is the BMF man. That was one of the craziest knockouts we've ever seen. I just think, in terms of being a complete, well-rounded fighter, he got taken down by Ilia, man. So a lot of fighters on this list, if we're doing that whole who's the most well-rounded, who wins in a pound for pound, if there's no weight classes, can't really argue Max would beat a lot of people on this list. Any of the champions currently, maybe not, but he definitely deserves to be on here. Max Holloway is a absolute certified legend of the sport.
No, 100%, man. It's tough. It's tough. Like Max Holloway is a legend. He is 100% a Hall of Famer, and he's achieved so much, during his career. But you know, he's been exposed. several times in several different fights. So at the end of the day, man, I mean, he definitely deserves to be on the list, but kind of is what it is. But for my 13th, we have a women's fighter. I, I said it was going to be controversial, right?
You did, yeah.
I just okay.
You did.
All right. Because I feel like for the most, I mean, we talked about this before, but having a woman on the pound for pound list, we don't see that pretty much at all. But the reason why I put Jean Wei Lee on my 13th is because you cannot deny her.
No, I
Can't
agree.
we can't deny her and what she's done in for women's MMA in general. But in her weight class, she's dominated, destroyed girls, man. Like pause on that too.
I
But
was
like
gonna say, I was like, bro.
but I'm just saying, like, y'all know what I mean. But she's absolutely she's dominated the game, right? For women's MMA. She's gotten knocked out before. She's had pretty much a long road to get to that belt and has held the belt for so long. Getting knocked out by Thug Rose, which was a spectacular head kick knockout. That was insane. But essentially, how she came back and pretty much got that title back and has defended ever since. And she's insane, man.
One of the more
Like,
dominant champions we have right now, man. She's like women's Pantoja, like genuinely.
100%. And you see it in her training, like especially when you watch the embeddeds. The embeddeds, I feel like, highlight how well she trains and the things that she prioritizes when she trains. It's all well deserved. But I definitely think she deserves to be on this pound for pound list because she dominates in every facet. Like I feel like one thing that we kind of underestimate about Zhang Wei Li is her ground game and how like her ground and pound is devastating. Like that, I feel like she has amazing elbows when she essentially like in half guard. She has amazing elbows. She's to be quite honest, when it comes to striking on the feet, I feel like as she progressed in her career defending the belt, we didn't really get to see a lot of like a striking display, but we saw a lot of her prioritizing grappling, taking women down, controlling them on the ground, or getting a lot of great ground and pound. But a lot of the time, we wouldn't really see any sort of like striking masterclass or anything like that. But she can strike. She can knock these girls down on their butts, man, and just hold them there. So she's my 13th. I think she's a well-rounded fighter and a pretty dominant champion right now.
Absolutely, bro. 100%. If I were to put any women's on my pound for pound list, she would definitely be the first one, as I feel she's more dominant, more consistent than Bullet, and Kayla just became champion of her weight class. So definitely a really good pick to throw on yours. I feel like we're at least for the first couple on each list, we're feeling like broken records where everyone you're putting on, you're like, this is gonna be controversial, and everyone I'm putting on, I'm like, listen, it's a fan favorite, I know, but you gotta hear me out. My number 13, and this is gonna I got reasons. I got reasons to defend this one. My number 13 is Alex Pereira. Now, I'm a potent laser, man. I absolutely love me a good Alex fight. There's nothing like it. His absolute aura and his stare downs, the power in that left hook, his footwork, not so much on the grappling side, but just the excitement he brings to the octagon, the achievements he has had, the names on his resume in the last like year and a half alone. Jamal Hill? Jeez, what am I saying? Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska 2 times, Israel Adesanya, Jan Blachowicz, Khalil Roundtree, Sean Strickland. He absolutely just barreled his way towards the title, albeit kind of was not cherry picked, but pretty much set up for him because Israel Adesanya had already pretty much cleared out middleweight. And then there is an argument for split decision Jan. But that being said, insane year for him last year. I think he fought 4 times, 3 of them being knockouts. Did he lose to Ank this year? I think he had 3 fights last year and they were all finishes, and then lost this year to Ank, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah, it was like earlier in the year. I'm
Was it
pretty
early in
sure
this
he
year?
lost
Yeah,
it.
was it after? Yeah, I think it was after January. So he's fantastic. But again, like other fighters on this list, I put all the UFC champions much higher. I think just being a champion, having the strap in general, automatically earns you a spot in the top 10, top 9. So someone's got to be 13th. And for me, at the moment, even though he's one of my favorites to watch, Alex Pereira's got to be number 13, just because of of the achievements of everyone else above them.
Hey man, Shama.
Shama, bro.
Shama. Honestly, man, if you want to talk about my number 12, there's a reason why I put Tommy at number 12, man. He's not necessarily top 10 for me.
Okay.
But Tommy Aspinall, we all know the kind of hands that man has. We all know how fast he's been knocking out heavyweights.
He moves like a middleweight, bro.
It literally moves like a middleweight. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. But the reason why I have him at number 12 is, and again, it's really difficult, to kind of put these in specific order and kind of weigh it based off of achievement and accolade. So, or is that the same thing? Who cares? But yeah, I have him there because he's pretty well rounded, man. Like I said before, we started this. I base it off of well roundedness, dominance, whether or not you can handle yourself in the octagon pretty well, pretty efficiently, and he's shown that. The only thing, though, I want to say is we haven't really seen much when it comes to the whole grappling thing. We know that man can't. I mean, we can't even tell. Like, we
He's
don't
the
know.
shortest
Like,
octagon average of anyone in the UFC right now, man.
maybe if he stopped knocking these guys out, we'd figure it out. But we haven't really seen him, in the grappling exchanges or on the ground. When it comes to the clinch, though, the man's a dangerous dude. He knocked out Spivak with an elbow in the clinch. That was crazy. So to me, I think he definitely deserves some recognition in the pound for pound list,
Absolutely.
specifically because of just how dominant he's been and how quickly he's knocking heavyweights out. So definitely got to give Tommy some love on that one.
For sure, man. If it were a list ranking people's patience, I think we'd have to put him number one. I will say, if we included patience in the pound for pound conversation, Tommy Aspinall would definitely be much higher on this. 100%. But yeah, no, I love to see him on the list in general. Definitely agree with a lot you had to say there. As for my number 12, it's kind of similar to one of your picks you've already made. He actually has a win over your number 15. Of course, I'm talking about Bilal. What's his name?
Remember the
name, Muhammad. No, I'm just playing. I try to do my best Kamaru Usman right there, just for saying I don't know him. But Bilal Muhammad, man, people don't give him enough credit. I don't know if I'm like a Bilal Muhammad fan. I wouldn't necessarily call myself that. I think him versus JDM was an absolute barn burner. I definitely don't think he was robbed or anything. I don't think he didn't shoot takedowns like a lot of people act like he did. But he was a very dominant fighter on his road to the belt. Very similar to Leon, just had to go through everyone in the division besides like Kamaru and Ian Gary. I believe he has wins over everybody else. Maybe Joaquin Buckley doesn't have a win over. The Shavkat one was canceled, of course, but absolutely dominated Leon to get the belt. Honestly, thought it would be a little bit closer against JDM, but that dominance on the way up to the belt, I feel like he doesn't have a win streak at the moment. It was just snapped, but the win streak until that JDM loss, one loss is not going to drop you off pound for pound, man. He is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC, I would argue. I know people don't love him. I know he doesn't have a lot of finishes. He has one finish, I think, 0 drops, like knockdowns in his entire UFC career. Longest average octagon time. But I think he still deserves to be on here just for the pure dominance alone. Just because he's boring and holds people down and wrestle fucks them the entire time. It's not his fault. It's the opponent's fault for not being able to have an answer for it, He has some pretty incredible wins over not prime, but slightly washed Gilbert Burns, prime Sean Brady, Vicente Luque, Damian Maia, Leon Edwards, man. He has a lot of great wins. He has a lot of great names on his resume, and I feel like you can't ignore it, man. I'm tired. Like I said, I'm not even like a Bilal fan like that or a Glazer, but you can't disrespect this guy anymore. You have to put some sort of respect on his name. I'm gonna have to cut out all these parts where I'm like trying to get back to the thing, but it's okay. I have to like find your next number real quick. All right, there we go.
There you go, brother. No, man. I mean, I definitely agree with you on that. You have some pretty good takes there. I feel like at the end of the day, we still have to respect this man. He was champion, and you can't deny him, especially with the resume that he's had. So
absolutely,
he 100% deserves a spot on the pound for pound. But for my number 11, guys, there's no way we can't put this man on here, bro. There's absolutely no way. This man's 14-0, and he's literally
Yes, sir.
wrestle fucking guys.
Yeah.
All right, I think, like
This is the
Hamzat
first one
Chimaev,
we're gonna absolutely agree on, I feel.
100%, man. Hamzat Chimaev, man, has literally been dominating. Oh my goodness,
Rest in peace, Robert Whitaker.
dominating legends, dominating contenders. Like, he is literally an animal. He's a wolf. The way that he fights, the way that he intimidates his fighters before the start of the fight, just stares them down like this, little smiles. It's crazy, man. Like,
That
that dude
shit's
is
so
ready.
funny.
It's insane, bro. I'll be seeing the memes on that too sometimes of people just some of my friends send them to me actually. They're kind of funny. But yeah, man. I think, well, as a fighter, he's obviously well rounded. We've seen too many fights to where we've seen him essentially, especially with Gilbert Burns, right? So we know that man can strike. That dude can strike with whoever he
Yeah.
wants to strike with. You know, fighting with Gilbert Burns like that and surviving and winning, insane, man. That was definitely. What year was that? Because I'm pretty sure that was Fight of the Year, right?
The Gilbert Burns one?
Yeah, was it not?
I don't think it was fight of the year, but I want to say 2022, 2023. I feel like it was a little bit ago because I think he went Burns and then moved up to middle right after that.
Okay.
Or no, it was Burns, and then he was supposed to fight Nate Diaz, and then had to fight
Right.
was it Kevin Holland or something?
It was Kevin
And
Holland.
then he
got
moved up,
submitted.
fought Kamaru, fought Robert Whitaker, and yeah, now he's challenging for the belt.
Yeah. Even with that, like, I mean, you can't deny the names.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got some names, bro. Win over Kamaru
And-
and a good looking Kamaru too, man. He looked great in that
One of-
fight. To be fair, it was off the couch, but good looking Kamaru.
And just imagine, you know, if it was a 5-round fight, you probably would have got a finish, in my honest
I
opinion.
agree. I definitely agree, man.
But as a like I said, as a fighter, well rounded, he can strike, he can grapple. Yeah, he can take you anywhere he wants to take you. Essentially, he's dangerous, man. And I definitely see him essentially holding that belt at some point, maybe this year, man. You never know. But he definitely, for me, deserves some recognition in this pound for pound list. So I put him at number 11.
Absolutely. 100% agree on that, man. He's not in my 11th spot per se, but he's definitely very soon on my list. My 11th spot is something really similar to Hamzat, where it's just the absolute dominance, the win streak, just the total feeling of like undeniability. Like you literally, there is no one else in the division that Dricus should fight. And for lightweight, man, in my personal opinion, even though the little shit he caused in January, I think Arman Saryukian is undeniable at lightweight. He probably should have been the one to fight Ilia, but you know, maybe that's the next fight we get. Wish we could have seen him versus Islam, but you can't. I want to say you can't blame him, but you kind of can because I'm pretty sure it was a weight issue, like a weight cutting thing that caused it. But man, his win over Gamrot, his win over Charles Oliveira, win over Dariush, a very, very, very close fight to Islam in their first fight. To be fair, short notice for Islam, I believe, at the time, but still, can't deny him, man. One of the most well-rounded fighters. He has submissions, he has knockouts, he has decision victories all across it. I believe 13 win streak. He's on a 4-fight win streak at the moment since he fought Islam, but 13-3 in the UFC, man. Pretty dominant. One of the best lightweights we have at the moment. It's kind of crazy how like denied he seems to be with certain people, but I think Arman Saryukian is a solid pound for pound. Definitely in the same boat as I would say like Sean Brady, Oliveira, Holloway. They're not on this list, but like Movsar Evloev, Nasruddin Imavov, where it's just like they're in that top 3 of their weight class. They've beaten everybody else. They're just waiting for that shot at the title. And I honestly think, man, he could give Ilia a run for his money, and that's why he's on my number 11.
Pretty solid, man. Yeah, there's literally no denying Armin right now. Even though don't really necessarily know, what happened with that one injury for his back. That could have been his opportunity to get the title, but definitely can't deny that man at all. For my number 10, all right, I have Max Blessed Holloway. Now, I know you did have Max Blessed Holloway a little bit lower in your list, which is, to me, not gonna lie, is a little understandable, man. I'm not gonna take that personal. No, I'm good.
Nah, bro.
Y'all might take it personal. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? We love people here. Okay. But at the end of the day, man, like for Max, how can I put this without blazing too much?
That's the challenge with the pound for pound list, man.
For Max, he we've seen, I mean, his record, man, 26-8, right? Around that time, like 26-8 or something like that. We've seen his track record, we've seen the guys he's fought, we've seen the kind of fights he has, the kind of deep waters he's been put in. You know, he's been knocked out against Ilia. A lot of really close fights with Volk, even though it's pretty much just him getting beat up for a good like four rounds. But either way, I think that you really can't deny this man and just being able to accept these fights and just showing up and essentially fighting his fight in every single one. You know, every single fight he's doing his thing, showing us who Max Holloway is. And especially against Gaethje, man. Gaethje, UFC 300 was incredible. You know, that's something I feel like a lot of people wish they would have saw in real life. You know, it's just having to see that card and see
What I
that
wouldn't
knockout.
give to be in person for that, bro.
Like I literally would have been crying tears if I saw that in real life because that was incredible. But at the end of the day, that's who he shows us to be. Like that's Max Plus Holloway, man. Like
Plus man
he's
forever.
all about it, man. And the iconic point in the center. Come on, let's get it on. Best boxer in the UFC, right?
Hell yeah,
I mean,
bro.
y'all can say Ilia's the best boxer in the UFC. I'm gonna be honest. I don't care. Max is he's my number one for the best boxer in the UFC, bro.
Even with the loss to Ilia,
I don't give a damn.
bro does not care.
I don't give a
That's fair,
damn.
man. That's fair. He's definitely up there. I would agree. I would definitely agree.
Yeah, man. So that's my BMF right there. I put him at number 10.
Hell yeah, man. Love to see it, bro. My number 10, it's kind of similar. We're going back and forth. You had your number 10 is someone I already had on my list. My number 10 is someone you already had on your list, just a little bit higher. Talking about Hamzat Chimaev. I think you had him at 11, right? I think that's probably the closest we're going to
Yeah,
be on these lists.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like not much I can really say that you haven't already said about him. Was it a 14 win streak, 15 since he joined the UFC? He has not lost. He's looked beatable in certain fights against Gilbert, against Kamaru, sure, but he has not lost since his debut, and you really can't ignore that. I believe all finishes besides the Gilbert and Kamaru fights, and man, the way he just ran through Whitaker, which is like I love Robert Whitaker. I don't want to just assume he's washed. I'm not gonna like unk him or anything, but if that is like Whitaker, not in his prime, but you know, pretty game, pretty good camp, showed up ready to compete, and he got like panic tapped out that quickly. Just how good is Hamzat, man? Personally, I know we're not doing a predictions video right now. I don't think he beats DDP, but you cannot ignore this crazy run that he's been on, the insane dominance, the amount of finishes he has, man. Hamzat Chimaev has to be top 10 pound for pound, which is why I have him starting off my top 10, being my last non-champion in my list.
oh, there is no denying that, man. He is absolutely insane. But moving on to number 9 for me personally, I got my man Dustin the Diamond Poirier. So Dustin Poirier, man, this is another man you cannot deny him. I don't care anybody. You know, you wanna tussle out in the street about it. We can tussle out in the street about it. You can't deny Dustin, and there's no way you can't put him on the pound for pound list with again the resume he's had, the waters he's been through. The fight with Islam was amazing. He proved that he can literally survive against one of the best grapplers in the entire world
Yeah.
and stick out for 5 rounds and essentially almost knock this man out. There were a couple of times where he almost put him away. But at the end of the day, man, solid striker, can handle himself on the ground, very well rounded everywhere. I have Dustin at my number 9. Honestly, I was very close to putting him a little higher, but the only reason why I didn't is because that man's almost out the door. So
Sorry, you
I
cut out
kind of,
again. What was the reason why you didn't?
oh, the reason why I didn't was because he's almost out the door. He's almost out of here.
Yeah, that's definitely
So
definitely a good take. Hey, you got them 9 and 10, bro. You got the next main card event, 9 and 10.
hey,
It's kind of look at that. Look at that.
totally not intentional at all.
No, this might be one of the first times I gotta like slow it down and actually like discuss the pick, like right after you said it. I love Dustin, man. I saw that Islam fight in person. I I don't know if I can put him on top 15 pound for pound, man. Just because of how he's looked against top contenders, got subbed by Oliveira, subbed by, well, I guess Khabib isn't an active fighter, but you know what I mean. By the top of the people in his division, he's never really touched the belt. He is one of the greatest strikers, one of the greatest lightweights we've ever seen for sure. But because the competition is so stiff, I couldn't personally justify tossing him on there. If I were to, I probably would have given him 15 and taken out Oliveira, but I just think Oliveira has that championship run, still in my mind, which justified putting him on there for me. As for my number 9, this is gonna be the first of my, like, streak of champions I got, so they're pretty much just gonna be in, like, descending order of, I guess, achievement and what they've actually done for their weight class. We're gonna toss on at number 9, JDM, baby. Good old fucking JDM, best boxer. No, I'm just playing. JDM is pretty well rounded. Honestly, like shockingly good at takedown defense and grappling against Bilal Muhammad. I mentioned it earlier, I believe. I'm not sure if it was the recording prior to this, but I'll just say it again. There's a narrative with Bilal Muhammad in that fight that why didn't Bilal wrestle? Bilal didn't look the same. He did. He shot the average amount of takedowns that Bilal would usually shoot on anybody else. It just wasn't as effective because of who he trains with. Craig Jones, I believe, is who he said it was. Not Paul Craig, right?
Yeah,
Craig
Paul
Jones
is the fighter.
Yeah, Craig Jones, he trains with incredible jiu-jitsu team he's got in his camp. Someone who prepared Alex Volkanovski for Islam 2 times. So of course he was going to come game and prepared for Bilal Muhammad. JDM's pretty good, man. Beat Gilbert Burns with a broken arm. He's got wins over people like Randy Brown, uh, Kevin Holland as well. Of course, Bilal Muhammad has to be on there. That really dominant performance. Incredible clean striking. Bilal said he was going to bring the Canelo hands, and then he ate them instead. So as far as champions go, he's not towards the top or in the middle, but he definitely has to be pound for pound just because of the fact that he won the strap in such a dominant fashion. So I have to toss in JDM at my number 9.
Not bad at all, man. Yeah, there definitely is nothing on that guy. He deserves that, to be quite honest. I mean, I wasn't really thinking about putting JDM on there. I'm not gonna lie, because he kind of like slipped my mind. I'm just gonna be real with y'all.
No, that's real.
Slipped my
That's
mind.
why I have him at the bottom of the champions. Like he's not forgettable or anything. It's just like compared to other champions, bro. I mean, there's like one other champion that I think is like in the same boat as him, but we'll get to that when we get back to my list.
For number 8, Dracus du Plessis. Now, I know a lot of people kind of have this weird controversial take for Dracus. You know, they don't really know if they should like the guy or hate the guy, or I said like or hate. Like the guy? Well,
yeah,
no, like or hate
you had
guy.
it right. You got it right. You good?
I don't know if they should, like or hate the guy. Personally, when he first essentially came to the UFC, I wasn't really a fan of him because he had beef with my man Izzy.
Yeah.
And typically, if you got beef with Izzy, you got beef with me. So, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when they fought, I kind of solidified it for me, to where it's like, all right, so I guess we really got to respect this guy now, right? Or kind of see how his championship reign goes, and so far it's been pretty good so far. I wouldn't say dominant per se because he's had a couple close ones with Sean Strickland. But to be quite honest, I put him there specifically because I feel like he had somewhat of a fast track to the title, I would say. I mean, I feel like that's what happens when you have like this weird history with like current UFC champions, right? Like you had that Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira fight essentially that got made, not just because of the fast track, or not fast track, but not essentially because, Izzy did clear out the division and all of a sudden Alex comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh, we should pair these guys. They should fight. That'd be a great idea.
I definitely agree with that for Alex. I don't know about DDP though, man. He went through Till into Whitaker into Strickland. Izzy Strickland, I think, is his trajectory, right? Pretty solid resume.
You don't think that's fast?
I don't think that. What was there until ranked at the time where he fought him, and he looked terrible in that fight. To be fair, I don't think either of them looked very good. But
yeah,
I think going from like ranked 8 Darren Till to like 5 Whitaker, I don't think that's crazy compared to knocking out Sean Strickland and going right for the belt.
Okay, I guess we think a little bit differently on that. I feel like it was pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
definitely see the Izzy matchup being fast, but because of the circumstances, I think the reason it feels fast is because of the Sean Strickland upset. Because,
Most
like, there
likely,
was
yeah.
no one else. They wanted to do DDP versus Izzy, and then DDP wasn't ready for it, so then they tossed in, Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland opened it up for DDP to take it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was faster than I'd like to say, but not I wouldn't compare it to Pereira, I don't think.
No? Okay.
I don't think so,
Actually, no, you
man.
gotta no, you're
Pereira
right, you're right, you're right,
Pereira
you're right,
has
you're right.
got his UFC contract because of his win over Izzy, and then fought, like,
Yeah.
2 non-ranked, went straight to Sean Strickland, then straight for the belt on his, like,
Yeah,
4th or 5th
that's
fight.
different. 100% different, yeah. I don't know. It was, like, the first thing that came to mind when I was like, yeah, like, a bit of a fast track, but
Definitely was
I get it.
fast, but is it because he's fast tracked or is it because he's just rolling through people, you know? Or maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it is a little bit of both.
Right. I don't know because I feel like, I mean, his fighting style, most fighters, I mean, it's so weird that I don't even think most fighters even know what he's doing. I mean, he doesn't even know what he's doing half the time. I feel like he even said
Yeah.
it. But you know, he's getting those knockouts. You know, he's getting finishes on these guys. But for me, the reason why I put him there is specifically at number 8. So I was debating putting him lower, to be honest, like somewhere around like the 14, 15. But I was thinking about, Mauricio Rufy and Sean Brady. And I was like, "Ah, I'll probably put these guys here first." For Drakus, I put him there specifically because, I mean, again, I base it off of well-roundedness. Um, Striking, we don't even know what that man does, but it's because it's so unorthodox and it works. You know what I mean? And I kind of was like, all right, so it works against these fighters. This man's getting it done. People don't really know what he's doing, but he's not bad on the ground at all. We've seen it. He can wrestle dudes, make them essentially ragdoll them. I feel like especially fighting Robert Whittaker was rough to watch. I won't lie.
Yeah, man. Whitaker's been on a little bit of a skid. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah. So that fight was definitely hard to watch, but I mean, it was a good display of what that man had, and I think that he definitely deserves a spot, somewhere in the pound for pound list, seeing the kind of guys he's fought and how he's been able to fight them. So I put him at my number 8.
Very valid, bro. I like it. DDP is definitely on mine. I agree with pretty much everything besides the fast tracking thing. But yeah, love to see him on the list in any form. To be honest, he's really won me over in his last couple performances, and that's coming from someone who is a really big Izzy fan. As for my number 8, really similar to JDM. The only reason I have him a little bit higher is because he doesn't have a blemish on his career so far. JDM did lose to Bilal. So we're tossing Big Ank, number 8. Not much you can really say that's different from JDM. He has the 5th longest, I believe, unbeaten streak in the UFC at the moment. Has wins over Rakic, Johnny Walker. He beat Alex Pereira by decision. Pretty, I wouldn't say a 5-0, but I think 4-1 is what I leaned when we first watched it. I think like the judges called it 3-2. Alex had no answer for him, man. And just beating someone on the pound for pound list in general should get you on it regardless, especially in such a dominant fashion like that. He had a lot of striking on the feet, man. He really like matched Alex's energy in that fight. Alex really couldn't find his groove, and we have never seen anyone put it on him like that. So just from that alone, he's got to be pound for pound. And then, like I said earlier, having the strap in general has got to get you on the list. So for the bottom 2 champions, we got JDM and Ank, and then after that, that's when the real argument starts. That's when the the real conversation starts to take off.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I'll be saying it. A lot of these fires, you can't deny them.
Yep.
Can't deny them at all. We were talking earlier about Ankh, and one of the reasons why I didn't really have him on my list at all. It was just I wasn't really convinced at all. Like, I mean, for me, like I said, it's the dominance aspect of it. It's the well-roundedness aspect of it, and I feel like for Ankh, especially these last couple fights, I haven't really seen anything, to be quite honest. At least to put him on my pound for pound list, aside from like the
Big Unk.
striking. Yeah, aside from the striking and what he's able to do on the feet, but other than that, I wasn't really too sure. But definitely deserves some recognition there, 100%. For my number 7, Charles Dubronx Oliveira. Now, I have him higher. And one thing I noticed about my list pretty early on when I was making it is, there's not a lot of current champions on it, to be quite honest. I wanted to kind of go that route at first, but
Yeah.
to be quite, I feel like there are a lot of fighters that aren't champions that I feel as if would deserve to be on the pound for pound list. Charles, I mean, former champion, not current champion, but definitely deserves to be on this list 100%. You talked about him earlier when you had him number 15, but he's been in the UFC for a very long time and has shown why he deserves to stay. You know, he proves everybody wrong. He surprised us in so many different ways. Just like that Michael Chandler fight, you know, that
Jesus,
rally in
bro.
the that first Michael Chandler fight was incredible to watch. And we don't really want to talk about the second fight because that was kind of boring. But aside from that, you know, he's shown that every time he gets knocked down, he gets back up, except for Ilia. That man slept him. But at the end of the day, like that man did
Person,
sleep
every
him.
time he gets knocked down, he gets back up. Except for Ilia. Except for
Except for Ilia. Except that guy.
It's true. I get you. I feel you.
You know, he gets back up, but then he also wins, you know, and
Yeah.
I feel like a career like that with the names he's Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Armin Sarukian, like, bro, these names are insane. And Armin Sarukian he lost against. I just want to say that.
I didn't want to be like I'm actually like adjust my glasses
Yeah,
like
no,
nerd
no, my
emoji, but I
bad.
was like,
Sorry.
no, you're
He
good, bro. Don't
lost.
apologize.
But it's just the resume, man. Like he only fights top contenders, bro. He only fights like top five. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a top five guy, top three guy, and he's been consistent for so long. There's no way you can deny this guy. So I have him at number 7 on my list.
Yeah, I completely agree with pretty much everything you said there. I think that's why I put him at 15 over Poirier. Like earlier, I mentioned like, oh man, I kind of wish I put Poirier on here, but no, there's not much you can really put against Charles besides that Ilia loss, man. The Armon one was super close, and like you said, every time he gets dropped, he gets right back up and somehow wins, which is like one of the more impressive things. And if it weren't for that weight fiasco, he would have a not the greatest lightweight title run of all time, but one of the better ones we've seen in a while. As for my number 7, we're keeping the streak going with our champions. We're moving up to heavyweight, though. Tommy Aspinall, man. A lot of people love him. A lot of people have an argument for him top 5. I don't think we've seen enough of him just yet to put him top 5. 100% pound for pound, just from his fight average time being so low. All of his fights being first round, if not beginning of the second round finish, all by a pretty brutal knockout, man. He's beaten Sergey, Curtis Blades, Marcin Tybura, Alexander Volkov. I'm like just like struggling to list all of them. While they kind of seem like jobbers, they kind of seem like journeymen, which it is somewhat true because heavyweight isn't the greatest division right now. He is the man that retired John Jones without even fighting him. He moves like a middleweight. He has crazy hands, crazy great footwork, and actual striking. We haven't seen the grappling be tested just yet, but the brief moments we have gotten it, he's looked pretty damn good, man. I think he's going to be heavyweight champ for quite some time. The only person I could probably see beating him would be Jones, and Jones completely ran from the organization. So, what more can we say about Tommy Aspinall besides that, dude?
I agree, man. Tommy Aspinall knocking dudes out left and right, just hasn't knocked out John Jones, and we won't be able to see that, unfortunately. But definitely deserves a spot on the pound for pound list 100%. For me, I have Alexander Volkanovski at number 6. Now I'm starting to roll into some champions here.
Oh yeah.
So Alexander Volkanovski, man, this is another man who is completely undeniable. His track record is amazing. His legacy is forever cemented. He's definitely a Hall of Famer.
Best featherweight of all time.
Best featherweight of all time, 100%, man. And, you know, despite the adversity that he faced with Ilia, with Islam, and especially him coming back after his loss to Islam the first time and the brutal head kick that he suffered, very tough to watch, especially, you know, the press conference of him essentially suffering with a lot of stuff outside of the UFC. But that's what builds champions, man. That's what builds the kind of person that Volk is. I mean, we see him come out of adversity and win the belt back again. And that's just whenever you're doing that, how can you not put someone on the pound for pound list, dude? Like it's
Adversity
really
is a
tough.
privilege, man. He said it the best.
Adversity is a privilege, man. 100%. He showed us why, you know. And if you're able to do what he's done in the UFC, he definitely deserves a spot on here. I wanted to put him at least in the top portion of my list. There was no way this man was going to be like on the towards the bottom. Like bottom.
No
Like,
way. Yeah, no.
no way.
Even though it's current, I
No way.
agree. No way he sorts the bottom.
Hell no. But yeah. I mean, we've seen it. All his fights. 24-7. We've seen. Well, so I said 24-7. 27-4.
Yeah, I mean,
27-4.
24-7 still not bad, but that just highlights how good he is, man. And all those
Yeah,
losses are against like top fighters. What's the other?
killers.
It's Ilia to Islam losses, and who's the other one? Who's the other loss?
It's almost. I think was it before the belt?
It had to have been. It had to have been on his way up to the belt.
Yeah, because that man did not lose
No.
for a long time.
Yeah, man. That's the goat right there.
That's our goat, our featherweight goat. Yeah, I got him at number 6 for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely fire, and I cannot agree with you more because I also have Volk number 6. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I genuinely do think he is one of the best active right now. Definitely on the later end of his career. I think he probably only has like 1, 2 more left, man. But to come back and look as good as he did against Diego Lopez, who has a ton of power and ate so many like straight haymakers or uppercuts right to his chin, man. Volk is him. He had a little bit of a skid, but man, short notice fight against Islam. He got knocked out in. 2 months later, he's back in the octagon with a concussion. Can you blame him? No. Bro's 3-0 against one of the best featherweights of all time. Has wins against people like Aldo. Crazy submission escape from that one fight with Brian Ortega. I think 2 submission, very close guillotines on him. Pulled out of him both times. Completely calm on the ground game when submissions are being threatened. My bias and my like glazing of Volk wanted to put him higher, but that just really is a testament to how good the top 5 current pound for pound are. But the fact that he's still on this list after such a long and dominant career is just it says a lot about him as a fighter and as a person, man. Adversity is a privilege. Pressure makes diamonds. He is my goat. That's my boy. That's my dude right there, Austin.
That is our goat, bro. Our featherweight goat.
Yes, sir.
For my number 5,
getting into it.
Here we go, our top 5, guys. Let us know how you feel about the top 5, or just about the entire list in general. But Rob Dvalishvili, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I don't give a damn.
Dvalishvili? Yeah, you said it.
Dvalishvili. So I have Marab for my number 5. Now, that maybe to some of you it could be a little controversial. To me, I have him over Volk specifically because I feel like even though Volk did have a stint, there was essentially a period of time where he was just losing fights. It was hard to watch. But from Marab, this is another guy, man. Like I keep saying it, you can't deny this dude. What he was able to do to Triple C was insane. Like I don't think anybody can do that to Triple C except for Marab, in my honest opinion. To just drag that man like he's essentially a baby and talking
babied the
to
shit
the
out
audience.
of him.
He babied the hell out of the kid. I said the kid. Yo, Triple C, don't beat me up, bro. I didn't mean to call you that.
He made him look like a kid, bro. Can you be? You can't be mad at that. He knows.
You can't be mad, but
if he even saw this,
bro, that's crazy. At the end of the day, man, like he babied the dude. He made him look funny, and you can't do that to a triple champion like that, like Triple C. But he was able to do it. He has 2 wins over Sean now. The superstar. 2 wins over Sean. Win over Jose Aldo. Win over Umar.
That Umar fight. Dude, that's a pretty not as dominant as people want to say, but that's a good win. That's a good name. Any Nurmagomedov is a good name to have.
Exactly. That resume just in general just shows that to me, not only just the resume, but he has insane cardio. His striking is a little questionable. I won't lie. I don't even know what that man does. A little questionable, but it gets him through these fights somehow, and even with some of the fights that, like, especially with the Umar fight, we weren't even sure if he was able to touch Umar, and he did touch Umar a couple times, even though Umar did end up having a broken hand. I'm pretty sure in the second or first round. But he was able to touch him, dude, a couple times.
Pause.
Pause on that. Dang it. Peter Yan. Peter Yan as well, having a win over Peter. Yeah. That's also that's a name you have to really think about how important that name is. Pedion is a dangerous man, dangerous fighter. He's a very well-rounded martial artist, and to get a win over him is insane. So Rob's 20-4 right now, but he's a very dominant champion. So I think that he can definitely ride that wave and continue to be a dominant champion. No one has an answer for this guy right now, and I think he deserves to be on the top five.
Absolutely agree, man. He's the machine. He does not gas out ever, and I top 5 for sure. He's definitely in here somewhere. For my number 5, though, someone you already dropped earlier, Dricus Du Plessis. I think he should be a little bit higher personally, just because of the dominance he has in his recent victories. Came back from a split decision win over Strickland for the belt, completely changed the game plan around and dominated 5 rounds. Strickland looked absolutely lost in the cage with him. Has a submission win over Israel Adesanya, where Izzy was looking really good. That was prime Izzy, in my opinion, return to form Izzy. And he has a knockout win over Robert Whitaker. Everything before then, yeah, the Darren Till stuff and everything prior, not the most impressive, but his recent run has been so fast. And I know we were talking about it earlier. I don't think he was fast tracked to the title. I think that's just how good he is. He just has an unorthodox, goofy kind of style to his striking that no one really has an answer for. And if we're comparing on a pound for pound list where it's just put this guy up against who, how far does he get in the list, who does he beat compared to everyone I listed, I feel like most of the fighters I have on my list so far wouldn't have an answer for him. So that included with his, I think it's a 7-fight win streak he's on right now. Dricus has got to be on my list, man, and I think he just barely cracks the top 5. Maybe I could have put Volk over him, but that might be my bias talking. I don't know. Not sure on that one.
It's all right. I mean, hey, man, this is what the pound for pound list is about, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's different and it's fun. That's what makes it fun. But for me, man, listen, guys, there is no way. Like, see, I wasn't even sure how I felt about this guy, when he became champion, but now I do. And I really feel like to a certain point, right now, I think he's ranked number 9 in the actual pound for pound list. That man needs to be higher. That man needs to go up.
He did get bumped. I think he's 5 now after UFC
really?
217. I'm pretty sure. I have it up right now. I'll pull it up.
Okay, so he's number 5. Well,
I don't know if you name dropped him yet. Yeah, let's pop him up, baby.
4, I got my man Alexandre Pantoja. All right, Alexandre Pantoja, my man. This dude is a killer.
He is number 5 on the current pound for pound.
All right, I have him at number 4.
Yeah, fair.
But nonetheless, this man's a killer. What he's been able to do, especially against Kai France, he essentially immobilized that guy.
Oh my God, did he, bro?
Like, he immobilized Kai France. He couldn't get a single strike going, and he initiated his game plan, submitted him just like that, right? Brandon Royval fought him, I believe, twice. Once, I think, before the belt he fought him, and then when he was champion, he fought him again.
Royval, he defended against Royval, Erseg, Asakura, and Kai France. I don't know why I didn't remember the most recent one you literally already mentioned, but yeah, Royval was his first defense.
Okay, I'm pretty sure they fought before the belt. I think that's why. Okay,
they did. Yeah.
2 wins over Royval now. Since
3 over Moreno, man.
3 over Moreno. Yeah. Insane. And even that Moreno fight when he did win the belt, bro, that was an insane fight. And I think even like fights like that, to where you see, fighters essentially going into deep waters and it's an all-out war, it shows a lot. It shows a lot about the people that you're watching, especially fighters you might not even know about. Alexandre Pantoja was one of those fighters I wasn't even sure, who Brandon was fighting, and watching him win the way he did and that kind of war pretty much exposed a lot about who he was as a fighter and the weaknesses and strengths that he has. I think comparable to the people, on my list right now, I'm not saying that they can't necessarily deal with the guy because some of them are heavy as hell compared to Alexandre, but I feel like the way that he carries himself in these fights is very, like, essentially true to his name. It's like cannibalistic, right? Like, this man is trying to eat you alive.
Yeah, man, he drags you to deep waters, bro.
Drags you to deep waters 100%. So I have Alexandre Pantoja at number 4. He's just completely dominant right now. And I don't really know this is the thing where it's like we don't really know who can really stop this guy. Like I don't know. Like I'm not really sure. Like after Kai Car France, who do you have next up for him? I'm not really too sure, but you
Joshua
just keep.
Van, and does Van beat him? Probably not.
I mean, that's my thing. Like, I mean, we talked about it in the last podcast, but like, I feel like I don't even know if he even beats that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see it in my honest opinion. I definitely have Alexandre winning over Van once they fight, but yeah, man. So for me, I
That would
got
be a
Pantoja at
huge
number 4.
upset if Van did win that. That would not save the division. I don't think the division's in need of saving because he's really active and really dominant, but that would definitely make things more interesting, man. I think honestly, if he beats Van, he's got to move up and fight my number 4 on my list. You already mentioned him. You already had him here earlier. I just bumped him up one spot higher. Merab Dvalishvili, man. Crazy gas tank. Most takedowns in the UFC ever. Broke the record of George St. Pierre, which is already astounding. There is an argument to be made. Most takedowns shot ever. Or no, it is most takedowns achieved ever. Never mind. I was about to make the argument that, yeah, you're going to land a lot of takedowns when you shoot as many as Merab. But even if people are complaining about him spamming takedowns, constantly shooting from nonstop, you have to have an incredible gas tank to be able to do that. There's an argument for Aljo being the best bantamweight of all time. He now has 2 wins over someone Aljo couldn't beat, the same amount of title wins as Aljo in general, win over Umar, win over Jose Aldo, Henry Cejudo, you already mentioned, just the absolute dominance that Merab shows in the octagon, and now he's starting to get finishes. We'll see if it is actually him shooting for finishes or if Sean was just that easy of a fight for him, but he's pretty great, man, and I think he should definitely be top 5 for a bit. He probably should have been top 5 pound for pound a little bit earlier, but you know the whole thing with the UFC politics and Dana not wanting to give him certain shots, but Merab, man, is a serious, serious threat in the pound for pound list for me.
Hey, man. Again, there's no denying that guy definitely deserves to be in the top 5, 100%. For me, next
Oh
up,
boy.
moving on up, man. It's the last 3 guys.
Top 3.
Islam Makhachev, all right?
Islam number 3, dude.
Islam at 3,
Oh,
bro.
brother. All right.
Okay, all
This
right.
is an interesting placement, I will say.
All right, listen, y'all. So
I'm
for my
listening.
next two picks, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was really difficult. It was hard, but I really just had to say screw it because again, like it's a very personalized list and everything. But for me, Islam, don't get me wrong, you can't deny this man. Definitely not a fast track to the title. That man literally had to fight his entire UFC career to get to the title to fight Charles Oliveira and to submit him the way that he did. And it was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to see. Love the Dagestani brothers. Love Khabib. Love everybody on that side of the world. But at the end of the day, bro, like Islam as a fighter, you can't deny him. You can't deny what he's able to do on the feet, what he's able to do on the ground. Obviously, coming from a very heavy wrestling background, he can handle himself in any aspect of the game. We've seen it against Dustin Poirier, especially against Dustin. I'm not gonna lie, like watching that fight, I'm like, nah, Islam's got that. Islam's got, bro. That man almost lost.
Yeah.
So I was a little, it's a little.
I definitely think it was a 5-0. I think, like, I don't know, I might have been more hyped just because I'm such a huge Dustin fan, but he did get cracked a few times, but he had all the answers, bro.
He did have all the answers, but like my thing is like watching that fight because there are times where I watch the fight. Sometimes I'm like, bro, Dustin could have knocked that dude out right there. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, but I'm glad he didn't. I'm not gonna lie because that would have been a crazy narrative. But no, I definitely think that with his resume and who he's fought and the kind of game plan he goes out with each fight and how he's able to finish these guys. I mean, when's the last time he's had a decision win aside from Dustin?
God, bro, I'd have to look that up, but was it
Uh,
Dustin before Dustin, Moicano, or
um,
no, Moicano, then Dustin, then
that was the decision. I
Charles?
thought he finished.
No, I'm like listening his last finishes because he sub Dustin, sub Moicano.
The
Who's before Moicano? Was it Oliveira?
Volk.
Volk. Oh yeah. Okay, so the last decision was the first Volk fight.
Yeah. But either way, man, this like he's just an insanely dangerous fighter, man. And I feel like now, especially with the kind of up and coming fighters that we see right now, we're saying that, yeah, I don't know, man. Islam might be you might lose to this person. You might lose to JDM. That's what people are saying. But
I
I
would
feel
say
like
that.
it might be one of those situations where he needs to kind of shut the haters down a little bit and prove them wrong, like he did with Volk. Even though Volk came back off of a 2 month stint, I definitely feel like he definitely proved something to us that he can knock the greats out. So I feel like if he does end up fighting JDM and he finishes them, can we put some respect on this man's name some more?
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
If he moves up, gets a second belt, and finishes JDM, that's GOAT talk right there. Like not just pound
100%.
for pound current. That is like the greatest of all time to be a two belt champion and have that many finishes and stuff. But that's definitely a conversation we'll have to have at some point in this video.
Yeah, man. So for me, I got Islam at number 3. My next two, I don't care what y'all say, but my next two, man.
We'll get
uh,
into that, bro. I already know what number 2 is, and I have some questions, but as for me, my number 3, we're tossing in if I can find number 3 in OBS. Where did it go? There it is. Alexander Pantoja. I feel like your 5 and 4 and my 4 and 3 are pretty much the exact same reasoning. Super dominant champion, man. Broke Mighty Mouse's uh where's my brain going? Not bantamweight. Flyweight. He broke Mighty Mouse's flyweight win streak. Not really close to beating his title defense win streak. I think it's like 4-12 is the Pantoja Mighty Mouse comparison. But still, that's not the reason why he's on the list for the breaking the win streak. It's the insane dominance across all these fighters he's fought against. Brandon Moreno, an arguable GOAT of the division, he's 3-0 against. Beat Royval, beat Kai Asakura, who's coming from another division where he's already a champion. There's not really much you can say about this man. He frequently either is completely dominant in a decision fight. Besides the Airseg one, that's like a weird outlier, but that one's aging a little poorly, honestly, because Airseg keeps losing sense. But besides those really exciting decisions where he just dominates, he gets a very early finish, man. He is one of the most consistent fighters in the UFC, and I feel like because he is such a lighter weight class, or there aren't like super exciting matchups to be made in that weight class, he gets kind of disrespected a little bit. But Pantoja is definitely top 5, and he's got to be towards the top, man. There's only 2 guys that I can think of, and they're my number 1 and 2. But he's definitely got to be somewhere in that top 5. So he is definitely right in the middle at number 3 for me.
yeah, man, not bad at all. No denying that, bro, at all, man. Cannibal is insane. But
Here we
listen,
go.
guys,
Oh God.
these next two is what it is. I'm riding with it. But number 2, Alex Pereira. Alex Poetan Ferreira. Listen, man. To me, this is a favorite for me. I put him at number 2 specifically because of not only we talked about this before, not only the fast track to the title, but I feel like when you're given these opportunities to fight for a belt so quickly and you capitalize on them with the specific skill that you have in a dominant way that you display it, I mean, come on. Like at the end of the day, not a lot of people get an opportunity like that. And when you do get an opportunity to finish the way that you finish and to essentially have those accolades and get the belt and defend the belt frequently without saying no, accepting fights, and consistently showing up in the octagon and destroying dudes. Pause.
Craziest pause so far. Absolutely
Pause.
insane pause.
But he's been able to get it done. And this dude is insane, man. I think he's just 12-3 right now. 12-3 record. Losses to Izzy, losses to Ankh. Excuse me. But nonetheless, man, like that man's completely dominant. He's been dominant, and even though he just lost to Ankh recently, I do feel like they should definitely run that back because if they
For
run it
sure.
back, in my opinion, if they run it back, I think it would look differently. Um, I don't think it's a matter of him being able to defend takedowns. That's been a topic of conversation for years now. And it's either we haven't necessarily been able to see it because he's knocking dudes out, or we see remnants of it, but he's been able to defend very well in those clinching situations when he's up against the cage or when he's defending takedowns. I believe against Ankh, did Ankh score any takedowns the last fight? I'm
I
not really too
don't
sure.
believe he did. I don't know if I ever saw the ground. I think he just beat him on the striking the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I'm not really sure. It was a fight where I'm pretty sure he got taken down, but he was defending very well on the ground on his back. But nonetheless, like we've seen it, in every facet of the game. We've seen him fight very efficiently and get the job done. Now, aside from the Ankh fight, I think that would look differently. But to me, just the fast track, the skill, and just how dangerous this man is. And to be quite honest, putting him up against anybody on my list, I think the majority of them are getting knocked out or not even getting a chance to even get this man on the ground. So for me, I have Alex Pereira at number two.
Very, very interesting. I definitely get and agree on some points, but my big question I have, like looking at your list, above Islam, why specifically above Islam?
Yeah, so for me, the Islam one was kind of tough because, like I said, bro, like at first I already knew these two were going to be a little bit weird, like for me. But just because, like, for Islam and his like journey to get to where he is right now, like it was very slow, it was very steady, it was dominant. Some were finishes, some were decisions. He carried himself very well in stand up. Obviously, he carried himself very well on the ground. But for this pound for pound list, it was more or less like, okay, if we're going to talk about accolades, right? Or if we're going to talk about how efficient you are as a fighter, I think we should also talk about the duration or at least how quickly these fighters have gotten to a specific point. Tom
Okay.
Aspinall, for example, right? Like he didn't necessarily get a fast track, but he's knocking dudes out quick, right?
Okay.
So he's knocking
Okay.
dudes out quick. You know what I mean? He's knocking
Yeah,
dudes
yeah,
out
yeah.
quick, but there wasn't a fast track to get to where he is now. He had to fight a couple more times to get to where he was. Alex fought a couple unranked dudes.
I think 2, and then he got a Strickland fight because I think, he set some record for, like, earliest, first person to, like, get a title shot in a year, like, 4 fights or something like that for his shot against Izzy. So, yeah, I think it was 2 unranked and then, Sean Strickland.
So for me, it was just kind of understanding that, like, bro, like this guy comes out of nowhere, knocks out pretty much everybody, gets a title shot, and then takes the belt. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
that's fair. Okay, that's what I'm glad you made the comparison to Tom Aspinall and specified, like, the knockouts and, like, how quickly he got there. Because you brought up, like, the fast track thing, and I was about to be like, "Then why isn't Dricus that high up for you?" But no, I get it because Dricus isn't going in there and knocking dudes out in 1 to 2 rounds. He's had a lot of adversity he's had to face, even in his most dominant performances. He's had a lot of adversity he's had to overcome. I definitely get that. I definitely understand it a little bit more now, I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So again, it was a little bit hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like putting Islam at three was tough,
Yeah,
but I
it's
was like, bro,
hard, man. It's how good they all
there's like,
are.
yeah, man, they're all insane. But there was no way I was like, "Yeah, I got to put Alex somewhere. And I think if I'm going to put him somewhere, it's got to be somewhere in the top three. So I'll put him in the top two, specifically because of just how dominant he's been in a short period of time.
I like that. Very, very solid. I like I said earlier, I'm like a huge Foten fan, so it kinda, like, sucks to not be, like, ultra glazing him and, like, putting him in my top 5. I guess, like, just the way I look at pound for pound, it's just, like, different. I just because I want all champions in my top 9, top 10. But, yeah, for my number 2, it's gonna be pretty interesting because I think this is finally someone you didn't name already before me, so I gotta talk about him first. Ilia Topuria. I don't know if this is gonna be controversial at all because he has had an incredible career so far. It hasn't even been, like, a long career at all. He's still very young, like, what, 27, I wanna say, 28? He's definitely on the younger side for fighters. Had arguably the best 3-fight streak, knocking out Volk, Holloway, Oliveira. He's on a crazy run, fastest to get to the 2 belt, the double champion status, right? A lot of similarities to McGregor. Not many times did he face adversity in his career. I believe he still 17-0. No losses so far. The only like challenge he seemed to have had is Bryce Mitchell, I believe, was able to take him down, and then he couldn't knock out Josh Emmett. But besides that, man, he's knocking people's heads off. He's sending them to the Shadow Realm. That Volk knockout, every time they replay it on his highlights, hyping up Ilia, makes me sad. Breaks a little bit of my soul every time I see that, especially the Max and Oliveira one now. But there's not really much you can say about Ilia. He seemed like a hype train at first, but he calls exactly what he's gonna do, and he delivers, man. And he's scary. I definitely think he's a lot scarier. I take him a little bit more seriously now after seeing him flatline Oliveira at lightweight. I didn't think the transition to lightweight would be so successful in his first fight up, but now I'm like, does he beat Islam? Like, I feel like there is an actual conversation to be had there. It's the only reason I can't put him number one is because I need to see his grappling be a little bit more tested. We saw a tiny bit against Oliveira. We saw a bit against Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce Mitchell is not a top pound for pound fighter, and Oliveira immediately went for like a heel hook and let go of it very quickly, and Ilia brought it right back up to the feet. So once I see that ground game and actually see him get a submission over someone like he used to before his UFC debut, then there'll be conversation for number one. But as for right now, jumping from like number 9, number 8, all the way to number 2 is pretty huge in my opinion. So that's where I'm gonna keep Ilia Topuria for a little bit. Austin, you ready for your number one, my guy?
Yes, sir.
All right,
So, aside from your number two, I actually have Ilya as my number one pick for my pound for pound list.
here we
Now,
go.
aside from everything that you said, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said about Ilya. I do feel as if his grappling does need to be tested, if we're going to talk about the overall roundness of a fighter. But one of the reasons why I have him at number one is because I've talked about it a little bit more in the first podcast. So I should definitely check that one out. But one of the things that I've realized about Ilya is there is something very special about him, right? And I feel like it's something that not a lot of fighters tend to possess, especially as champions, right? And one of those things is that he calls his shot and he does it. It's like you hear a lot of talk. You hear a lot of talk, especially during like pre-fight hype. It's like, oh, I'm gonna knock this man out. I'm gonna sub him in this. I'm gonna, get it done in third round and first round. Okay, cool. Doesn't really happen. But Ilya is a kind of fighter that knows who he is, that knows the kind of weapons that he possesses. And I think a person, not even just like a man who knows how to fight professionally and calls his shot that precisely, consistently, every single time, and is knocking legends to their feet. For me to put him anywhere on this list, I thought it was pretty messed up to not put him at number one, in my opinion, specifically because of how dominant he's been, even like before his reign with the titles from featherweight, now lightweight, which I think is insane. Oh my gosh, I mean, held 2 belts, dude. But like, it's also a very beautiful thing to see fighters call their shots to me because it shows the kind of dedication. Like it's like another level, and he's hinted at that. He's hinted at this. Like I am the next generation of MMA, and it's like what's crazy is we haven't even seen it yet. Like we just see people getting knocked out. Like
Right?
we
Yeah,
just see,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like where is this next level? Like how when are we gonna see that? Right? Aside from you just knocking dudes out, like where is his ceiling? Where is his weakness? Right? It's sort of like we don't really know. Most people will be like, yeah, maybe if you take him down. No, we can't really say that because I mean, even though Bryce Mitchell did fight him, there were a couple times in their grappling exchanges where he did take him down a couple times, and he was fine. Got right back up, almost put or not Josh almost put Bryce Mitchell out.
Yeah.
But
Did he
at the
put
end
Bryce
of the
Mitchell out? Or no, that was Josh Emmett. My bad.
yeah,
Josh
that was
Emmett
Josh.
knocked his head off.
But I think that Ilia Saporia, just as a overall well-rounded fighter. I mean, he's doing these things to legendary fighters. He's not doing these things to bottom of the barrel prelim fighters, bro. Like he's fighting the best of the best right now, and he's showing that he can be a very successful champion in years to come. You know, and I'm just trying to see where the ceiling is or where this next level of MMA is because we haven't really seen it. But for me, there was no way I couldn't put him at top one, specifically because of just how insane, bro. He's just finishing dudes. Like he finished one of our favorite fighters. Hold on, bro. Pause. Second time.
Dude, we gotta, if we ever do this live, we're gonna have to have someone in chat do like a pause counter to see how many pauses we get by the end.
Pose. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I get what you mean, bro. I get what you mean though.
Yeah,
Just the finishes he does get are brutal, vicious.
Like they're, and like you said, it's like remnants of Conor McGregor. It's like Conor McGregor-esque energy that we're seeing, right? But it's completely Ilia's world. Like I've said it before, but it's like another level of confidence as a fighter. So um, very dangerous to me everywhere. It doesn't really matter where you put this guy, but we just have to see a little bit more, right? But that's the thing. Like, are we going to see more? Like, when are we going to see that? You know what I mean? That's my number one thing is like, are we going to see more or are we just going to see people get knocked out all the time for the next couple of years?
Only time will tell, man. I can't imagine him knocking out everyone else he ever faces in the first round, but if he does it, that's like Islam, man. Number one ever discussion immediately.
100%, man. But yeah, I got Ilia as my top one, even though, you know, most people not like that. I don't care. My man is knocking people out, and I don't see him stopping right now at all.
I heard you on that, man. That's definitely why I got him my number two. Now I know this whole time I've been talking about my top 10, top 9 need to all be champions. This one, people are probably wondering if they're watched up to this point. People are probably wondering where this fighter is. Not technically a champion at the moment. This is where the glazing begins, Austin. This is where I go mega glaze mode because Islam Makhachev is the best fighter in the UFC at the moment. The only reason he doesn't have a belt is because he vacated. He has not lost yet. He is on the longest active win streak, tied for second longest ever with 15 wins in a row. Like we talked about earlier when he was on your list. KO'd Volk, subbed Charles Oliveira, subbed Dustin Poirier, subbed Renato Moicano. He has wins over Dariush, Arman Tsarukyan, just pretty much tore through the entire lightweight division. No one really thought he was going to be as good as he is, and he is surpassing Khabib in like legacy at this point, which a lot of people have Khabib as their number one of all time. So what does that say about Islam, man? He hasn't really been tested. Every single time he has been like on the feet with Dustin, he showed that he's a better striker than Dustin at certain points in that fight. Completely dominated him. I feel like his style, his well-roundedness matches up the best with every other fighter you could possibly throw his way. The only like question we throw into it is the weight class, right? He's moving up to welterweight now. Is it going to translate? It's very similar to the questions we had about Ilia going to lightweight. Is that power going to translate? Is Islam's grappling strength and wrestling and just submission threat going to translate to 170? Or is he going to struggle to get people down and get smoked on the feet? I think it'll be competitive. Not sure if he beats JDM, but at the moment, comparing win streak, the opponents that they have wins over, the method that they get these victories, and just their history getting to the belt or just being in the UFC, I think Islam's got the best resume, not only currently, but is probably in top 5 all time, top 10 at least. Like there is an argument to be made that he's one of the best UFC fighters of all time, and we have not seen him lose yet, which is absolutely nuts to me, man. So for me, I have to put Islam number one. I think honestly, like Ilia getting the 3 back-to-back knockouts over absolute legends of the sport, for sure, gets him in the GOAT discussion, gets him in this kind of pound-for-pound discussion. I think it's a little bit of a diss to Islam to jump him down to 2. It's kind of like when he beat Volk and didn't take the number 1 spot, even though he beat Volk, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, but the fans really think this guy's pound for pound, but is we haven't seen Islam lose. You know, how can you put someone over him if we've never seen him really struggle? And that's why I got to put him as my number one. I really think he is the greatest fighter in the UFC at the moment, and pound per pound for pound skills compared to everyone else on this list, I think he smokes most of them, man.
I think that everything that you just said is completely spot on. I mean, it makes sense. Completely spot on, man. And you know what? Like, aside from everything that he's achieved as a fighter, and you're right. I mean, he has not really lost. The only reason why he lost the belt was because he vacated, which, when you think about it, is absolutely insane. But I also think, like, when you're making a pound for pound list, most people would definitely go the route you'd go. 1000%. It's like, yeah, I definitely think Islam is number one. 1000%. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at the end of the day, he hasn't lost. He's finishing guys. No, no. Pause.
No, oh, dude,
Pause, guys.
another pause, bro.
No.
Someone in the comments, if you watch to this point, I need you to go back and count how many times we've said pause at sus
Like
things.
before.
At least
Or
5. We got to be
specifically
at
me.
5 to 6 right now.
But yeah, man, Islam's he's getting the job done at the end of the day, and he's not losing.
Mm.
And he is being drug into deep waters, but I think the only time he ever got close to that was Dustin.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's looking pretty dominant right now, and I do agree with you for that number one spot. I just couldn't do it, bro. I couldn't
You
do it,
can't
bro.
do
I
it.
couldn't do it.
You think
I
that
couldn't
the
do it.
Ilia wins are that impressive that he gets number 1 automatically, man?
It's
Think
just
it's that
because,
crazy?
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I'm taking absolutely nothing away from Islam, and I guess people, who are watching, if you saw, me putting him at 3 as like, oh, you're definitely taking some away. Maybe, if you want to think of it like that, sure. But I think the way that I perceive it, with this number one spot is like I've just never seen anything like that before. And
Yeah,
to me, it's just,
that's
you know
fair,
what I'm
man.
saying?
I can't
You haven't
argue
seen
against
anything
that.
like that before. That kind of you call your shot, you knock people out. You're essentially, your game plan is not unpredictable. It's very predictable. Like fighters can prepare for it, but they can't do anything about it. And I think that that's really dangerous. Especially for like the current roster of fighters, that get to witness and watch these fights in these weight classes. Like, if I was a fighter watching Ilia, I'm like, what the heck? Like,
What do we
what am I supposed to do,
what do
bro?
yeah, right. What do we even do against this guy?
Like, what's the game plan? I mean, I guess with Islam, right? Like when you look at Islam, it's like, yeah, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's not losing, right? But you'd probably say like, oh well, he does have a weakness though, right? And it's like maybe we can put him away if we do specific things here and there. I mean, fighters have a very specific way of game planning around certain things. Most anybody who's fighting against Islam knows that they cannot take that dude down. So why would you even try? Um, like I wouldn't even try that, to be honest. If I was a fighter, I'm like, yeah. So if my coach is like, yeah, I think we should take Islam down. I'm like, what? What do you mean take Islam down? I'm
Literally,
not doing
dude.
that.
Like, what are you even gonna do in that point?
What are you talking about? But like, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But
No,
I'm
you're good.
serious,
You're
bro.
good,
Like,
bro. I get you. I feel you.
you know what I mean? Like, it was tough for this number one spot, but I do think your pick for number one with Islam is completely valid. That man hasn't lost, and the only reason why he doesn't have a title is because he vacated. So, and he's definitely up there, 1,000% surpassing Khabib at this point, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, man. All these comparisons with Ilia and Connor, dominating a featherweight champ, dominating a lightweight one, getting the strap. What happened when Connor met Khabib, bro? If we're gonna make the comparisons, Ilia to Connor, we got to make those comparisons, Islam to Khabib, and both of them seem better. Like Ilia seems better than Connor in certain aspects. Islam seems better than Khabib in certain aspects. So that's why I want that fight so bad because I want that answer. And the other thing, side note, for why people don't like put as much respect on Islam, it's not as much of a problem as it used to be, but people used to not want to give him number 1 pound for pound because 2 of his title defenses were over featherweights. It was over Volk twice, but even if he's not a lightweight, dude, Volk was really game that first time. It was very competitive. And then to shut him out the second time, even if he's not a lightweight, he beat the greatest featherweight of all time twice. Once by decision, went the entire 25 minutes, and the second time knocked him out in what, first round? second round. I
Head
think it was the
kick.
first round. The head
Head
kick,
kick
yeah.
first round.
I just think there's a lot of people on this list that respect needs to be put on their name to a certain extent that I can argue could be lower, could be higher, etc. The one I will not fold on is Islam number 1. I think Islam needs to be number 1 until he's tested and seems like he struggles with striking more than he did with Dustin, or until he loses, you know? There's really not much to it besides that for me.
Yeah, man. I mean, all solidified. I feel like the list in general, your list is pretty well thought out, 1,000%, man.
Thank you, bro.
I love the way it looks. No, of course, man.
I like your list as well. The only
Nice,
one I'm
man.
like Pereira too, man. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
how much I love Alex, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can put him that high, but yours is pretty well thought out in like a different mindset. You know, I feel like we just rank pound for pound differently.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, that's what just makes it fun to do that, you know, and especially, you know, like if you do this at home with your friends and you want to make pound for pound lists,
Exactly.
like, you know, you can just have fun with it, bro. Just have fun with it. You know, think about it, make sure it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Don't be throwing like
There's got to be
fires in there.
logic. Yeah, you can't just be like
You know
Conor
what I
McGregor
mean?
number 1. Like, bro, he's not even active.
Like, bro, that man's on dope. He's been on dope for years. So, yeah, man. But it was fun doing this. Had a great time. I
Yeah, it's
hope you
definitely a
guys
solid
enjoyed
episode.
the list, man. It was pretty fun doing it. Let us know what you think. Now, listen, if there's anybody that wants to talk to me personally about my list, hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
You cut
Yeah.
out a tiny bit, so it just sounded like you said,
Hold on.
anyone want to talk
Hold
to
on.
me? Hit me up. The middle part was lost there.
If you want to talk about the list, I'll gladly talk about the list.
Yeah,
And
man.
if you have lists of your own, let us know, bro. I'd love to see like what y'all lists look like 100% and how you feel about them.
100%. If you watched all the way through, let us know what you think about both of ours. We can even make a little bit of a contest. Whose list do you think is more accurate? Whose do you like more? Whatever. And for sure, what Austin just said, definitely leave a comment with your top 15. We'll definitely be in the comments going back and forth with you.